Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. I'm Mary Felling, physical therapist. Today I'm going to be taking you through a nice myofascial release for the shoulders. This is great for helping reduce generalized shoulder pain. It's great for improving the mobility of the shoulders. This is great for weightlifters after a day of the shoulder at the gym. And it also helps with that round-shouldered posture that some of us tend to get. It helps it to move back, and then of course you can stand up taller too. There's a bonus with this shoulder technique. A lot of times pains and stiffness through our neck originate down in the shoulder. So doing this technique will help also with any of you who are noticing you have stiffness or soreness in your neck. It'll help take out that pain, that stiffness that may be being created from the shoulders. All right, let's get started. So before I begin, I want to make sure any of you who have had a dislocated shoulder in your history, this is not something that you can do unless you have already talked to your provider and your shoulder has completely repaired. But in general, this is probably not a good idea for anyone who's had any problems with dislocations in the past. The nice thing about this is you can do this anywhere, sitting or standing. I'm going to be sitting for the day. Feel free to stand. All you'll need is a belt from a robe. You can use a yoga strap. You can use an exercise strap. Those work too. So what you're going to be doing, I'm going to turn to the side, kind of show you how we're lining up here. So I'm using a strap because the position you're going to be in looks like this. And in order to hold our hands together, we kind of got to use some of the extra shoulder muscles to do that. Using a band or a cloth between your hands to hold your hands together instead of out here helps reduce the amount of work the shoulder has to do. So you're going to get in this position, hold your band or hold a cloth, or you can use a towel if you want. And you're going to lift your hands away from the body. And you're going to lift your chest up. So the chest is lifting kind of like a 45-degree here. I'm not pulling my head back. My head is still forward, my neck is straight, and I'm lifting the chest up. Just a proud chest is what you're going for. Here's that modification for the position while in standing. Hands behind you, got your arms rested against a chair, and you just walk a little bit forward, and it'll help keep those shoulders back, and then you just lift your chest up, and you're ready to go for that 5+ minutes. All right, so we're going to start that clock. Remember, this is a John Barnes myofascial release technique, so we're always doing a minimum of 5 minutes. And if you look, I'm not doing this and lifting my chest. My spine is straight, so make sure you're nice and tall through your back. If you find that this position really requires a lot of work for you, maybe you have some weakness in your shoulders, you can take a pillow just like this, and put your hands and rest your hands on it, and then hold on to the cloth or your strap. And then the pillow does all that work for you. All we're trying to do is keep you in a position for a minimum of 5 minutes. And this is opening the chest right now. You're squeezing your shoulder blades together while you're doing this, by the way. And it's just minimal. We're not really working hard and straining here. Shoulder blades are squeezed together, chest is lifted like a proud chest, and hands are back away from your back, from your hips. So if you're standing and doing this, you could go up to a piece of furniture, turn around, and put your hands back on the furniture, like the back of a couch. If you're in the kitchen, you can use the kitchen counter. And so that's doing all the work for the shoulder. So the only work you're doing really is lifting your chest. All right. So this John Barnes myofascial release technique is always minimum of 5 minutes. Remember, it takes 5 minutes to get that piezoelectric effect going in the system. And the way we're eliciting that is by squeezing our shoulders back and lifting the chest, we're elongating the front of the chest right now. So I'm going to do a little demonstration, but keep your hands back so you're maintaining that position. So we're opening across here. And we're opening across here because in our society, we're such a flexion society. You know, we're bent over our desks and our work all day. And we tend to get this round shoulder position. And what happens after years of that, excuse me, that round shouldering, the fascia adapts to that. And now we're tight like this, and any effort to try and squeeze our shoulders back is not enough for the tension that that fascia has developed in the front, and so we're pulled forward. And when you're pulled forward, you lose the natural alignment of the shoulder joint, where the humeral bone comes up and meets inside the glenohumeral cavity. So it's like this. This is how we're supposed to work in the cavity. If we're round-shouldered, all of a sudden we have this dysfunctional thing going on. So because we're a flexion society, and because we're kind of round-shouldered and we're forward and we get so tight across our chest, it's kind of hard to sit up straight. And that position also puts strain in the neck. So we're opening this up to get our shoulders back in the natural alignment, so we can get a lot more out of it. You can produce more torque, more power from your shoulders, and more endurance. Less pain, more mobility. It's great for everything for your shoulder. So minimum of 5 minutes. Why is that? Well, we're using a mechanical energy of elongation right now, opening our chest. And after 5 minutes of mechanical energy placed in the human body, it elicits a piezoelectric effect. It's a bioelectric flow. And that bioelectric flow moves along the fascia. Well, our fascia is a big cobweb. It runs from the bottom of our feet up through to the top of our head, side to side and front to back in our body. It's like a three-dimensional cobweb. It's very sinewy. It's elastic. But when we've had injury to the fascia, so poor posture over a prolonged period of time, repetitive use, overuse, stress, being a human being alive on this planet, when that happens, it causes injury to the fascia, and the fascia binds down, it dehydrates, it gets very glued and thickened, and that area, what we call a myofascial restriction, that restriction can place up to 2,000 pounds of force per square inch on whatever's in its way. So if this is tightening down around the muscles, blood vessels, nerves, everything has this cobweb in and around it, they become painful because these are all pain-sensitive structures. So now we've got pain, we've lost mobility. So doing myofascial release helps to not only open the muscle, myo means muscle, but it opens the fascia, and that's the part that's been missing in traditional therapies. And I was a traditional therapist for a long time before I started this 25 years ago. All right, so we're coming up to the end of the 5 minutes. I invite you to continue for another 3-4 minutes. You'll just get more releases. You'll get increased mobility of the tissue across the front of your chest. Excuse me. And when you're doing this technique, once you start a technique, a myofascial release technique, you want to continue that for 14 days in a row, because tissue has memory. We start getting it elongated and the brain says, oh no, we're supposed to be shortened and this dysfunction not. So you're going to move through tissue memory. It takes a while. It's kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of a thing. But eventually the brain remembers, the central nervous system remembers that it's supposed to be elongated, and that's when you start getting permanency to the changes. So 14 days in a row, and after that continue it for 2 to 3 times a week. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I invite you to subscribe to my channel here. You'll be notified as every new video is uploaded. Thanks for showing up, thanks for taking care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.